Let's go through the top 10 anime with an overpowered and betrayed main character. Number 10. Arifureta, from Commonplace to World's Strongest. Hajime is a 17-year-old high school student, and one day his entire class, including the teacher, end up being summoned into a fantasy world. Now everyone in his class has stupidly powerful skills and abilities, except for our protagonist, Hajime. The class then begins training in a nearby dungeon where Hajime is attacked by an ally, causing him to fall into the depths of the labyrinth. He then loses an arm and goes a little crazy as he struggles to adapt to this hellish environment. However, with a bit of perseverance and luck, Hajime ends up becoming an overpowered badass as he vows to find a way back home to Earth. Now critically, Arifureta is not so good, but honestly, I still love it. Number 9. To the Abandoned Sacred Beasts. The Northerners successfully harnessed the power of human experimentation and used it to create the Incarnates. These human-monster hybrids fought for the North and easily overwhelmed their enemies to win the war. However, they also began to realize that the monsters inside of the Incarnates have been slowly but steadily eating away at their humanity, causing them to lose control. This anime tells the story of Hank, the captain of the Incarnates, as he spends his post-war days putting down all of his former comrades. You should also know that Hank gets betrayed multiple times. Now the big downside to this anime is that I highly doubt it's ever getting an additional season. Number 8. Tower of God. Bam lived in a dark cave completely alone until one day a girl named Rachel arrived. She taught Bam many things about the world, but ends up leaving him behind so that she can climb a mystical tower. Now to Bam, his life is meaningless without Rachel, so he chases after her and forces his way into the tower. Inside he meets a guardian named Hedon, who explains that Bam can find anything his heart desires at the top of the tower. Bam then steals his resolve to climb the tower with the hope of finding Rachel once again. Personally, I thought the first 11 episodes were very meh, but episode 12 definitely made it worth my time. Number 7. Dororo. Before he was even born, Hyakumaru was betrayed by his family. You see, his father was a greedy man and willingly made a deal with 12 demons. This resulted in his prefecture's growth, but at the cost of his unborn child's body. Hyakumaru ended up being born, but missing multiple body parts, and because of this, he was cast out to die. However, luckily, he was taken in and raised by a healer who gave him the ability to fight back. This anime follows Hyakumaru as he tracks down and kills the demons in order to reclaim his body, though along the way, he'll make an unexpected friend. Now honestly, I haven't watched more than episode 1, but hey, this anime is rated really well. Number 6. King's Avatar. Glory is an MMORPG that has become popular enough to enter into the esports scene. Ye Chu has been a top-tier professional player since the very beginning and is even known as the Battle God. However, big business is all about money, and this is why his company/team forces him into an early retirement. With little else to do, he seeks out a part-time job and throws himself back into the world of Glory under the new alias of Lord Grim. Then it doesn't take long before he recruits some new allies and begins climbing the leaderboard once again. If you're a big fan of video games and maybe just a little bit older, then I bet you're gonna love King's Avatar. Number 5. Hellsing Ultimate. Integra is the head of the Hellsing organization, which was created to combat any and all supernatural forces which threaten humanity. You should think of them as an army for hire, which will deal with your everyday zombie, ghoul, or vampire-related incidents. Now they have an entire army, but the true strength of Hellsing lies within a single vampire named Alucard. While going for a walk one evening, Alucard finds a human girl named Ceres Victoria, who he accidentally shoots and turns into a vampire. This anime follows Integra, Alucard, and Ceres as they eliminate anyone who dares to oppose them, be it the undead, the Catholic Church, or World War II German soldiers. Now, Alucard is very overpowered before the betrayal, but hey, it's still there. And now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever actually met someone who didn't enjoy Hellsing Ultimate. Number 4. Rokka, Braves of the Six Flowers. The legends say that every 300 years, the goddess of fate will hand-select the 6 strongest warriors to become the heroes that will defeat the demon god. Adlet Meyer is the world's strongest man, and as such, he receives the blessing of the goddess of fate, marking him as one of the legendary heroes. Adlet and Bunny Girl then immediately set off to the far side of the continent to meet up with the other heroes. However, after arriving to the designated temple, an impenetrable fog barrier appears, preventing them from escaping, and this is when they realize that a total of 7 people have been summoned. But the issue is that according to legend, the goddess of fate only chooses 6 heroes. Adlet is then framed as the imposter and must struggle to survive, all the while uncovering the truth behind this betrayal. I've read all the books, and as such, Rokka will always hold a special place in my heart. Number 3. Madoka Magica. This anime begins with 2 middle schoolers, Madoka and Sayaka, encountering a magical creature named Kyubey. This cat-like thing offers to grant each of them 1 wish in exchange for turning them into magical girls. However, before they get a chance to decide for themselves, the new transfer student, who is a magical girl herself, tells them to forget about the offer and that they are being tricked. Now, that's all I can tell you without ruining the entire anime, so you're just gonna have to trust me that it belongs here in this video. Then I would guess that 95% of you have watched this anime and loved it, and that the other 5% is too judgmental to give it a try. Number 2. The Rising of the Shield Hero. This anime follows your standard run-of-the-mill otaku, who spends all of his time reading novels and playing video games. However, his easygoing life suddenly turns upside down, as Naofumi finds himself magically transported into a fantasy world where he becomes the legendary shield hero. Shortly after arriving, he meets the king, acquires some allies, and thus begins his adventure by slaying monsters. However, it's only a moment later that Naofumi is framed for a crime that he didn't commit, which causes his so-called allies to abandon him. Now filled with rage and all alone, Naofumi must begin preparing for the next wave of catastrophe. But how will he fight monsters with only a shield? Melty is easily best girl, and I won't be convinced otherwise. Number 1. Berserk. The Band of the Hawk is a mercenary group with power equivalent to a small army. Now, their very charismatic leader is named Griffith, and their newest recruit is named Guts. Together, they begin making a name for themselves, and Guts is quickly promoted to lead part of the mercenary group. Then a lot of shit happens, demons get involved, and let's just say that Guts has an all-around bad time. Now, this anime takes place just before Guts becomes super OP and, well, Berserk, but it definitely belongs in the number 1 spot on this list. Now, Berserk is just the classic betrayal anime, but I find it hard to recommend because it's really just the preview to the epicness that is the Berserk manga. If you ever wondered what happened after the Rokka anime, then click this video. Shout out to my patrons, with a special shout out to my newest patron, Andrew McDonald. Thanks for watching, everyone.